Welcome to the Gen Z Show. I am your host, James McLamb, and I'm joined today by my friends from Texas, Bailey and Brianna Chavez. How are you ladies doing today?
Doing really good. I'm super excited to be on today. It was a blast. Yes, I learned so much from Sandy. She's such a cool person. I love her program.
Well, today we had a really good conversation with Sandy Marshall. Now, Sandy Marshall is the CEO, founder, and visionary for an organization, a nonprofit organization called Project Scientists. And the mission of this is to create excitement in young ladies, young girls, starting as early as age 4, get them excited about STEM. Let's define what STEM is. STEM stands for what?
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
I love the way you guys split that up. And we didn't practice that. That's kind of cool. So her organization helps young ladies get involved in this, and they really want to change society's perception of girls in STEM careers as a general. We know that there are lower rates of women in STEM careers, and her organization really wants to change society's perception to help girls see that as a viable option going forward. And we had a wonderful, wonderful conversation with her. Ladies, what were some of the takeaways that you guys, maybe one takeaway from each from you that you can kind of tease our audience that they're going to learn about today?
So one thing that really I learned, or I just got like inspired because I'm about to go into college. I'm going to be majoring in nutrition, which is very science based. So I was just inspired just to have confidence as I go into studying nutrition and not be discouraged when I have to face like organic chemistry like she did. And so I'm excited to be able to have that self confidence and know that there's organizations that are in place that are building that confidence in younger girls as well. And then for me, I guess I just really think it's really cool how she is so ambitious. I mean, she started the program for girls that are like age 4, and she talked about how she wanted to go international with it. I just think that's super cool. And I especially like how she focused on females, or how she is focusing on females. I know the STEM industry is kind of like predominantly males, so there's probably some misconceptions there. So I think it's really cool that she's focusing on females with her project.
So, folks, we want to make sure you watch this entire interview. You may want to bookmark it if you are not able to complete it in one setting, because there is a lot of nuggets of wisdom and knowledge that are going to be given to you today. Some gold nuggets of wisdom and knowledge, especially as a parent. She really gives us some practical techniques as parents on how we can help our young ladies at our home, our girls. And as a father of 2 girls, I was really listening for that, on how to help them see STEM as an opportunity for them in the future. So let's get right to our interview with Miss Sandy Marshall. Sandy, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to be my guest this week with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk with you all.
Well, I have 2 daughters, so what you're doing really speaks to me. Actually, I had a conversation with my wife and says, what do we need to know? We have an opportunity to talk to somebody who really understands this field for young ladies. What do we need to know? So I'm excited about this opportunity, but our audience, they've gotten a little introduction from us beforehand, but they really want to know from you who you are. So if you wouldn't mind, introduce yourself to the Gen Z audience.
Sure. So I'm Sandy Marshall. I'm founder, CEO of a nonprofit called Project Scientist, and we serve girls ages 4 to 12, although we're launching a program for 13 to 18-year-olds this summer. And typically we serve them on university campuses through a 6-week summer program and year-round STEM expeditions. And our goal is to build up confidence and interest in STEM as young as 4, 5, and 6. Boys and girls are deciding that math and science are for boys. So we're here to grab those girls at that young age and show them that there's a place for them in STEM, have them change their perception of who a scientist is and what a scientist does, and start to develop those long-term goals and dreams for themselves in STEM. And this is not my house. This is not my closet. I'm here at our office in our supply room. So a ton of science supplies behind me.
That's a good background. It shows the effectiveness of it. So what inspired you to start this organization?
So I was running the NASCAR Foundation and was getting NASCAR involved in STEM about 12, 13 years ago, and had my first child, my daughter Ellie. And just really, I started to look at the world and all the grand challenges we had. And I called my husband one day and said, we have 18 years when I was on maternity leave. I'm like, we have 18 years to fix a bunch of problems. And that's when my daughter's going to be on her own. And so I started to sort of peel away the onion of, why aren't we putting attention towards some of these problems like hunger and climate change? And if I had a degree in engineering, I was pre-med in college and lost my confidence in organic chemistry and changed my major. But I thought if I had stayed the course, I'd certainly be using that knowledge for good and solving some of these problems. So as I started to look at the research, why were there so few women at the levels, the high levels in STEM and in STEM majors, I started to realize that it starts as young as 4, and really wanted to have a program for my daughter to keep her interest and skills up in STEM.
So was it difficult to find anything like that in the area? So you were in the Charlotte area then, if you were doing NASCAR, obviously that was going to be in the Charlotte area. Was it difficult to find anything at all in that area for young ladies?
Yeah, so I really didn't want to start my own program. I was hoping to bring something to Charlotte to serve my needs as a working parent and a daughter that loves science. And I could not find anything. At the time, everything was for middle schoolers or high schoolers for girls. So even though the research was telling us we need to start much younger. So finally, I just walked into NASCAR, one of my friend's offices one day, and I was like, I'm starting a girls' science camp, and called her teachers. And I actually started it out of our guest house in our backyard for the first 2 years. And the model that I built was based on all the research that girls need in STEM. And it's the same model we have today, really, serving over 3,000 girls a year.
Wow, 3,000 girls a year, and it's all switched now in this last year to a virtual format, right?
Right. Yeah.
So why would you say to someone who questions whether or not a program like this is even needed? I'm a father of girls. I'm not going to question it, but someone might. Someone might look at it and says, does it the school? Don't the schools do enough of this? Or, aren't we getting that level of interest in girls in STEM?
hmm Well, the girls have the interest and they have the aptitude. So that's not the issue. What happens is around middle school, high school, and college is they start to lose that confidence in themselves when there's less and less girls in those classes. Male professors, they don't have the female role models they need, and they don't see women on TV or in the media that are in those roles that they may want to achieve someday. So that's why we're here. What we do is we really show the girls as many women in the STEM space, thriving in that space in a variety of careers. We do a test. It's called the Draw Scientist Test. And day 1, they'll draw it, and then their final day with us. This is an international test that's existed for years. But it's really interesting to see, the stereotypes of girls drawing an Einstein figure in the lab on their first day, and then their final day with us drawing themselves in a variety of careers, outside of a lab coat, and outside of Einstein hair, doing fun things. So that's what we're trying to do, is really change that perception. And, women make up over 55% of the workforce, yet in STEM careers, it's less than 25%. In computer science and some engineering careers, it's less than 8%. African-American women, sometimes it's less than 2%. So there's a long ways to go. And STEM careers are really what's in our future.
I really liked what you just told me about that exercise, because I think that says a lot more than them just realizing that there's career opportunities. That's almost a self-image or self-confidence building part of it too. That really speaks to me, because that gets me excited when I think about how we can build someone's belief in themselves. And gosh, being able to do it through something like this is exciting. You've seen a lot of results of those kind of building of self-confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah, especially, over 70% of our girls come from under-resourced households. So
Oh,
a lot of times they come in, maybe hoping to be the first to graduate high school in their family. But we have girls now, the summer was the best because some of our Charlotte girls were actually aging out of high school, and their parents were calling me and saying, we just want to thank you. They're going to UNC Charlotte in engineering, or, they're in early college in engineering. One of our first students in Charlotte, we just did a call with her the other day, and she's going on a full ride to NYU. And again, at one point she actually had to move back to Mexico for a bit and then came back, and, was going to be the first to graduate high school, but has a full ride to college. So, those are the things we're working towards, and it's really exciting for us to serve the girls. They stay with us for years, which is really fun.
That is really cool. That's really cool.
So one question that I would like to ask, so this is like a huge project that you like took on like all by yourself. So what was it like getting like support from other people to like believe in the project like you did?
So it was before STEM. The acronym STEM was well known.
Oh, wow.
So there was a hurdle in educating people on, well, what is STEM? And then, well, what's the need? And then that quickly caught on. So that hurdle was erased probably 5 years in. And now everybody knows what STEM is. Everyone knows there's an absence of women and girls. There's a confidence issue. There's a equity issue. So I don't have to talk about that anymore, which is nice. But I think, back when I was starting it, there were a lot of conversations about just even what is STEM, and then giving the research as to why girls need their own place. When typically, I don't know if you guys have done first robotics or anything, but typically what happens in those group projects, like a robotics competition, is the boys will take on the engineering pieces and the building pieces, and the girls will be delegated to the writing piece or the marketing piece. And so that's why we separate the girls. We want them by themselves. We want them to take on all roles in STEM and designing and engineering design, and be separate from the boys. So that's a little bit different, and people are still trying to understand why we do that. But that's really based on the research too, for girls to build up that voice for themselves and try different things that they typically may not try when they're grouped with boys.
Yeah, that sounds super cool.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that sounds super cool. That I think it's a good idea to like separate them and give them their own opportunity to excel in all areas.
Yeah. And I don't know if I answered your question. So, early on, there were people that didn't believe in it, but the STEM companies did. And I remember when we were still out of the guest house, and our girls once a week will do expeditions to STEM companies, and they'll have female STEM professionals talk to the girls every day. And it was that same model in my guest house. I reached out blindly to NASA, and they accepted to, it wasn't even Zoom back then. I think it was, I don't even know, we had Skype. Yeah. So they accepted to Skype with us. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm onto something when NASA is Skyping to my guest house with 6 little girls, 4-year-olds to have an astronaut talk about space. So that was kind of when my mind was like, okay, I think I'm onto something here. I think companies know there's an absence, and that girls need to see the industry want to cultivate their interest in STEM.
It's exciting to be able to have NASA just talk, and that you just told them, hey, there's 6 little girls here that want to talk. Wow, that is really cool. And to piggyback on what she just said, questions about obstacles. Have you ever run into where there's an obstacle for getting young girls to buy into the fact that they should look at STEM as an opportunities for careers and as an interest?
Well, what we find, the backbone of our program is based on SciGirls, and SciGirls is a PBS show and curriculum out of the Twin Cities. And so we are trained in SciGirls research, and it used to be the SciGirls 7, but everything we do is applied to that. So girls like to, typically like to work in groups. If you hear girls say, well, girls aren't good at that, or boys are better in math, don't let that slide. So we teach our teachers and our intern fellows to talk about that in front of the group. Well, why do you feel that way? Why do you think, girls are not good at math? Oh, because my teacher said she didn't like math. And, that's a common thing that they'll say. And so we try to talk them through with the whole group as to why that isn't true. develop growth mindset with them. Were you born good at soccer? Well, no, you had to work at it, and that's how you became good. It's the same with math. But not so much that girls don't want to join the program, but we might hear, things like that really are a virus of, spreading that around to the other girls. So we try to really bring that out in front of everyone and talk about it right away.
You're getting real close to being able to have data too. And especially in the next 4 years of actual placement into career opportunities. That's got to be exciting to be able to look down into the future and say, we're about to have some real life data that we can share with that. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is. Our partners are really excited about that too.
Go ahead, babe.
I was just going to ask a question. So I know that you've been very successful, obviously, in the STEM industry. So I just kind of wanted to hear about your college experience. I'm going into a science-related major, so I was just wondering if you could tell me a little bit about like how you got to where you are, what were your challenges, just anything like that.
So I wanted to be a doctor, and I was going through all of that sort of pre-med coursework and hit some challenges with organic chemistry. And I think I tried 2 times. And then I gave up. I was like, well, if I can't get in typical how girls are, if I can't get an A or B, then certainly I could not be a doctor. And what we found with the research is, boys don't really have that mindset. They just know some classes they just need to get through it. And that doesn't mean that's going to affect their career or them graduating. It just may be, a little bit harder, a little bit of stumbling blocks. So that is something I, definitely want to tell folks. Like, one, we've heard from many of the women that come and speak to our girls that, one, math is super important. So you got to practice math no matter what STEM career you're in. But you don't have to get A's and B's. You can just get a C, just get through it. And that doesn't mean you can't be an engineer or a scientist. So, having that mindset when you go into classes that it's going to be challenging, and as long as you're learning, but don't quit. And I also think to find a peer group. There's a ton of research around that when women are in STEM majors, if they have a peer group of other girls and women that they can study with, talk to about the challenges, they're more likely to succeed and graduate in that major. Because it does get lonely still. You're still going to be maybe the only one in certain classes, the only female in certain classes, and majority of your professors male. So having girls that you can identify with and talk through will help you, stay the course.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah. And I ended up changing my major. So public policy, and with an emphasis in nonprofits. But I'm glad to be doing what I'm doing and, using that knowledge to build a great nonprofit.
Yeah, we definitely need to hear that because we'll have to take chemistry and stuff, and we're huge perfectionists. So if we can just keep the mindset not to quit and to just do our best, I think we'll be good. Yes.
I love that the valedictorians, salutatorians are concerned about chemistry going into. I would tell a quick story and then we'll move on. I was at North Carolina State, and the chemistry professor was the worst one ever, I think, in the history of the world. And I had him and did not do well in the class. I got through, but did not do well in the class. Well, I had to take another one. I heard that he was going to be teaching that one as well. So I waited. Until the man retired before I took the last one. This was the fall of my senior year. Typically, this is a sophomore class. I waited fall of my senior year. He was gone. Well, apparently, I wasn't the only person in the university that had thought that, because there was an overabundance of Chem 2 students. So they had to recall retired professors to teach sections. Guess what I ended up getting?
No.
The same guy.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that was so smart of you, though. I mean, yeah, look at, now they have the, I don't know, what is it called? There's a website where you can see all the reviews.
Rate My Professor and something.
There you go. Yeah. So,
yeah, you didn't need a Rate My Professor website back then. It was pretty well known that he was, I walked in and he walked, because it didn't identify it on the registration who was teaching. I walked in and there he stood. It's like, why did I wait?
Was it as bad as you expected?
Oh, yeah, it was bad. It was very, very bad. But it was humbling too, because I ended up being tutored by a student who was their first semester freshman who had placed out of Chem 1 and was in Chem 2. So this guy was like 3 years younger than me, fresh out of high school, was tutoring me, and I barely got through it, and he was making A's in this. So it was a very humbling experience too. I felt a little bit, it was not good. One of you ladies had talked earlier about STEM versus STEAM. You wanted to ask?
Yes. So I was actually talking to one of my friends the other day, and she was telling me about how one school around our area has started including agriculture in STEM, like STEAM, like science, technology, engineering, agriculture, and math. And I thought that was super cool. I wanted to hear like if you've had any experience with that.
That is so cool. This is the first I've ever heard of that. So usually the A in STEAM is arts,
Yeah.
and we do arts, but we don't use that acronym because it's still confusing to people. Most people know STEM, they don't know STEAM. So we don't use the acronym, but I've never heard about agriculture. So we, for gosh, I think 3 years now, we've always done some sort of a food science week. So this summer, one of our weeks is food science, and it's innovation in food, transportation, and development or something. And we're working with one of our partners, Train Technologies and Thermo King, about and Sealed Air about the development of food and transporting it, and how fresh food is delivered and brought to you from an engineering perspective. So yeah, I've never heard A for agriculture. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I thought it was arts as well. So
she might have been wrong, but I'm not sure. Oh my gosh. So how can like people or like us, because that sounds super interesting, like the food science week, how can we get involved in something like that?
Yeah, so well, for girls ages 4 to 12, you can go to projectscientist.org and sign up. And we have scholarships available. You can attend free of cost or pay to attend, depending on your family's income. For older girls, we're launching a 13 to 15-year-old program, probably be mostly our alumni, but it's called Project Scientist Scholars. And get on our newsletter, projectscientist.org, and you'll get information on that program. It will launch in a couple weeks. For you all, because you're entering college, we do have a fellows program where you can volunteer. So you could either serve as a volunteer in the classroom, the virtual classroom with the credentialed teachers, or we may want to have you on one day as a STEM superstar for that agriculture week. And those are typically women in the field in the discipline that we're studying that week. So I think you'd be perfect to come on as STEM superstars during that week, and I'll send you information on that.
That would be so cool. Yes, that definitely sounds like something we'd be interested in.
Right.
So your 13 to 15-year-old program, what's going to be different about it compared to the 4 to 12?
Yeah, so we surveyed our alumni, and we have about, I think, 500 in that age group. We're doing a pilot of 60 girls this first round. They'll start with us in July and go through, I think, January. And it's more of a leadership program where they'll have mentors. So each month is a different focus. They're meeting with us virtually via Zoom every other Sunday. And we're working with companies in the field, and girls are 1 month going to develop, an innovation, and they'll present it to that company. Another month, it's all about leadership, and they're learning a variety of skills. They're doing some self-assessments. Another month, they're meeting with a college advisor and doing really a deep dive in, assessments of their interests, where their family, does their family want them to stay in the state or the city where they are, the financial needs they might have of going to college. So it's really preparing them, for the next few years of high school, and even, looking at, so you want to be a doctor and you want to go to the school, then we need to make sure that you're taking these math classes, sophomore, junior, senior year. So, so we're really excited about it. And, we've heard from the girls, that's what they would like to have, and really having a little bit of a deeper relationship with women in the field.
So your programs right currently are mostly or probably 100% virtual. Are they nationwide, or obviously virtually nationwide, but when they were not 100% virtual, were there camps in different cities, or how was that working for you?
So we were in North Carolina, Minnesota, California. In California, we were at USC, Caltech, LMU, UC Irvine. And then we were about to launch at Georgia Tech
Oh,
for summer 2020. And then with COVID, we went 100% virtual. So we miss our girls and we miss the campuses and taking them, to Google in person, but we took all of those elements of that summer program and brought it to the virtual environment. So the girls still start out every morning with a female STEM professional. They still do hands-on science each week. Kits are delivered to their house with credentialed teachers teaching them through the kits. And then they're doing 2 virtual expeditions during the week. So typically they would do 1 expedition going to a local STEM company where the campus is. But now, girls in California are getting to see, companies in Charlotte or potato fields in the Midwest or something. So it's kind of opened our eyes of how we can serve more girls in rural areas, and get them in a really national perspective of the STEM community. And next year, we're looking at maybe even going international. We did serve girls internationally last summer, and we will this summer as well.
that's exciting to be able to bring in an international audience as well, and maybe in from some countries that do not have the resources or the infrastructure at all to have these types of programs. That's very exciting for you.
Yeah.
All right, parent question. So, got my daughters. I want them to be energetic. I want them to have a desire to be involved with STEM types of things. Outside of obviously enrolling in a project sciences class, what would you recommend a parent do for their young 4 to 12-year-old girl to get them excited about this, to build their confidence in this field?
So just the research tells us that actually dads are the number 1 factor of
Oh,
keeping
wow.
girls motivated in STEM. I don't know, Bailey and Brianna, is he in a STEM career or?
He's not in a STEM career, but he's definitely encouraged us to be good at math and all that stuff. He's really good at math, so he's
Okay.
definitely enrolled in that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that the reason for that is, most of the STEM careers are men. So, if you have a parent that's in one of those careers, you tend to gravitate towards that, and it's comfortable for you. So, for the dads, we want them to encourage their girls to do some of those maybe non-traditional things you might do around the house. I mean, even working on the car, changing the oil, fixing things or whatever, because that's just exposing them to engineering and just a variety of things that they might actually have an interest in and typically would not be exposed to. And the other thing is pointing out, women that from your church or your neighborhood or relatives that are in STEM careers. We also know that, those Nobel laureates that, are in chemistry or whatever, that's inspiring and that's great, but the girls feel that's unattainable. And so when they meet someone that they know that they have a connection with, and then, oh, by the way, she's also an engineer, it becomes more real for them and attainable. So pointing out those women, or, having those women talk to your daughter about their career and education is helpful. And then just showing an interest, showing an interest in their grades, showing an interest when they have an interest on a nature show or something like that, or even cooking. There's so many things that our daily lives we're doing that are focused on math and science that you can start a conversation around STEM. How was this made? With the iPhone now, there's so many conversations you can have around how things work on their phone that, could be interesting.
That's exciting to be able to see those types of practical tips, that it's really not something that is over any parent's head. They may say, I don't know how to get them interested in these fields, but the things that the 3 basic items that you gave them is, those are easy steps that they can take. They just have to be intentional about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just pay attention. Even when you're out walking, things are happening around you in nature that you can easily talk about. And you don't have to know the answers either. You go look them up together. So just keeps it fun and interesting.
I actually have another question for you. So you've obviously reached a lot of different people. You said you're trying to go international with your project. What would you say is the most rewarding part of the work that you've done?
So I think it's when we see the girls, succeeding and growing up in the program. And I had a few of our girls. We were on Fox, or Good Day LA on Fox the other day, a couple of weeks ago. And they've been with us since they were 4, and now they're 11. And to just, over the years, see them change their perspective of who a scientist is, what a scientist does, what they want to be. And, even when they hold strong to, of course, I'm going to be an astrophysicist, and they've said that since they were 4 and now they're 12. So it's just fun to see them grow up, and especially the ones that are entering college now, to see where they go. And so I'm excited to get our database sorted out and start to bring those girls back in and have them be STEM superstars one day, have them host us at their companies one day, and just have that full circle perspective, serve their daughters one day. So
that's so awesome.
Yeah,
that will be awesome when you have the opportunity to have alumni be professionals that you're bringing in. They could say, hey, I was where you were at. That's exciting opportunity. All right, so how will our audience connect with you? How can they find out more information? Social media. Where can they find this information?
So projectscientist.org is our website. We're also on, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, ProjSci, I think, PROJSCI. And we attempted TikTok, did not succeed. It's basically, if you go to our TikTok channel, it's probably 10 videos of my 10-year-old doing silly things with my dog. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Sandy Marshall 6 on LinkedIn. So I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, we'd love to hear, from female STEM professionals in the field that would like to participate as STEM superstars. Those going into college, we're looking for interns and fellows. And anyone that works at a STEM company, we'd love to have you host a virtual expedition. Hopefully we'll be back in person next year. We'll see how that looks. It'll probably be different than what we've done in the past, but we're excited to get back in person with the girls too.
So audience, if you missed any of that information, I'm going to put everything that she just said in the show notes. So if you look down in the show notes, you're looking at the video, look down, click show more, you'll see the information that we have there. So Sandy, I want to thank you again. This has been a real treat as a parent of daughters, and to be able to have Bailey and Brianna with us as well to share their thoughts and their questions as well. This has been fun. This is something that I really have enjoyed my time today.
We appreciate it. We appreciate you giving us the time to tell our message, and it's such an honor to meet you, STEM girls, and hear about your success, and to see where you all go. I forgot to mention one of our programs. We had so much success last summer with pivoting to the virtual model that our parents were like, what are you doing during the school year? So we actually have an after school club as well. And it's a Zoom science club, but we deliver kits to your house once a month. And every Wednesday, the girls are working out those kits with our credentialed teachers. So one other way for parents to sign up their daughters and participate with us.
Wow. Oh, we need to get you connected with some of the early ag classes that in middle school, especially, or the right people in Texas. Hey, girls, Texas there. Got somebody.
We'll be promoting this program. Yes, for sure.
We are looking for scholarship girls in Texas. So please, we have free slots, especially around Tyler, Texas and Dallas. If anyone's can send girls our way.
Okay, definitely will.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being a part of our show. And audience, make sure you share, comment, and like this episode. Share it with someone that you know needs it, a parent or a young lady who would benefit from this conversation and benefit from the information. See you all again next week.